Okay, we have one last thing that we are going to look at today. And I'm just going to have one video example of this type of problem, but I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. And then you can kind of pick from there what method you like better. This is example 5. And our mission here is to find the solutions by graphing. Find our solutions by graphing. So my equation is x cubed plus 5 equals 4x squared plus x. Okay, two different ways to do this. The first thing to notice is that it's an equation. It's not a system of equations. I don't have a y value in here anywhere. So really the only thing I care about is what my x value is for my solutions when I'm graphing. Okay, so two different ways that I can do this. The first way is to graph both sides. To graph each side of the equation and see where they intersect. If I'm using that strategy, I'm going to go to my calculator, to my y equals, which looks kind of weird right now. There we go. So I'm going to go to my y equals and type in one side, x to the third power plus 5. Type that in under y1. And then my second equation for y, y2, I'm going to type in this right side, 4x squared plus x. I type my equations in, and then we graph. Okay. Now it's kind of hard to tell here how many times these actually intersect in our window. It looks like there's 2 times, and our calculator can kind of do that work for us too, to find if there actually are 2 or if there's just 1. But once we get our equations graphed, I see for sure I have an intersection point here. To find out what that is, we'll go to Second Calc, down to Intersect. Now when I type in first curve, right now, my cursor is on the cubic function. And I want to be kind of close to my intersection point I'm trying to find. Now when it says second curve, you can kind of pay attention to this top left corner too. Now we're on the quadratic. We're on the quadratic function. Okay, so second curve again, I want to be close to our intersection point. Hit enter again. Now we got x is negative 1.09. To find my second intersection point, same place, second calc intersect. First curve, let's go around here. Second curve, I'm pretty close already. And guess. We get 1.16. Now, just because I'm not entirely sure what my graph is doing here, we figured out we have an intersection point, and we know for sure where our end on the left here for our quadratic is going to go up, for our cubic it's going to go down. These guys aren't going to meet again. We're not entirely confident what's happening on this right side. So I'm going to adjust my graph a little bit. I'm going to adjust my window. I know it's probably on the like 0 to 5 range for my x values that things get a little questionable. So I'm going to go to my window, change x min to 0, x max to 4, and then I'm going to use zoom fit. Remember that for zoom fit to work, we have to have the x values chosen, because your calculator will figure out what's the highest x value and what's the lowest, or what's the highest y value and what's the lowest y value on that interval. See, when we do that, you see that was our intersection point we found at 1.16, but we really have another one way up here. The second calc intersect again. And again, if you pay attention to the top left corner here, x cubed plus 5, that tells me what equation my cursor is on. First curve, second curve, we're right there. There's our third intersection point, 3.93. Okay. Now, some people might not like this method just as much, mostly because of situations like that we found, where there really was a third intersection point that we didn't necessarily see. Our second option, which you guys might like a little bit better, but again, it's totally up to you what method you want to keep working with. Our second option is to move everything to one side. And find the zeros. Finding our x-intercepts then. If I do that, I need to move my 4x squared and my x to the other side. Get x cubed minus 4x squared minus x plus 5 equals 0. Back to my calculator. I need to go to y equals now. Clear out the equations I had, because now everything is on one side. I want to find my zeros. X cubed minus 4x squared minus x plus 5. And I know that I adjusted my window a little bit, so I'm going to go back to zoom standard. This is nice just because we can see a little bit easier where our zeros are. We can see where our zeros are. And we know that since we have a cubic polynomial, these are our ends. That's our end behavior. We're not going to have another relative maximum. We're not going to have a turning point anywhere else. So to find our zeros, just like when we were solving quadratics, go to second calculate, 0. Move your cursor to what you're trying to find. Left bound, right bound. There's the negative 1.09 we had. Same process for our next 0. Move to what I'm trying to find. Left bound, right bound. That's our 1.16. And finally, move to what we're trying to find. go left, right, and that's our 3.93. So either way you like better, feel free to stick with it. I have a feeling a lot of you guys are going to like option 2 a little bit better, but option 1 is a good strategy too. So totally up to you. I'm never going to say you have to solve by the second option or anything like that, but you have the option.